Welcome to this episode of The Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, brought to you by Self-Realization Fellowship, where each week you can receive inspiration and guidance from Paramahansa Yogananda's Kriya Yoga teachings. The subject of this talk is World Peace Through Meditation by Brother Satyananda.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Today is World Peace Sunday at Lake Shrine. Every year, September 21st, the United Nations dedicates the day to observing world peace. It's a very important day in our modern times, and so we have made it a tradition at Lake Shrine to participate. The theme this year of the United Nations is Actions for Peace. And according to our faith tradition, our teachings of our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda, the greatest action that we can perform for peace for ourselves and peace for others is finding peace in meditation. And so our action that we can contribute as a gift for the world is to gather peace first in our hearts. And feeling that peace, then we have a gift that we can share. Feeling that peace, then we share that peace with the world. So that is our theme for today. It was a lovely opening meditation together, wasn't it? And that's what we can do when we want to give a gift of peace to the world. I like to say that you need to possess a gift before you can give a gift. And so we need to actually take that step first, to cultivate, to feel, and to enjoy peace ourselves within our hearts. And when you start to feel that peace vibration building into a living peace energy within you, then you know you have a gift to give. And that's when you can begin to stream it from your heart, sending it out to the world. God will support, God will guide your love, your peace out to the hearts who are in need. So this coming week, that is an action, spiritual action that men and women can take to give a gift of peace to the world. And in this way, we will be contributing our part to world harmony and peace. In February 1939, the world was on the edge of World War II. There was a lot of division and conflict going on all around the world. There were escalating conflicts in Europe, rebellions going on in Spain, bomb shelters were being built all over the world. Humanity was starting to separate at the seams. In February 1939, same year, same month, Paramahansa Yogananda, our founder, gave a public address, a public lecture in downtown Los Angeles, and he titled his lecture, A World Without Boundaries. And it can be found, this lecture, A World Without Boundaries, can be found in this collection of lectures called Divine Romance. It's one of my favorite sources, and I quote frequently from this, Divine Romance. And he talked about, in his lecture, A World Without Boundaries, he talked about human equality, human dignity, about mutual understanding to resolve differences, and also of the value of helping children to grow up free from prejudice. At the close of his lecture, he said, "Therefore, my friends, resolve that you will love the world as your own nation, and that you will love your nation as you love your family. Through this understanding, you will help to establish a world family on the indestructible foundation of wisdom." So with his realization, with his love for all humankind, Paramahansa Paramahansa Yogananda was not only a world-class spiritual teacher, he was also a world-class humanitarian. And he was a strong public advocate for unity, equality, and harmony among all people. He was always advocating discovering peace within our hearts through meditation and then sharing that peace as a dynamic force with all those that we come in contact with. And in this way, spiritual men and women of all ages can contribute. We are not part of the problem, we are part of the solution. And we start right where we are today, and we share that peace that we are cultivating in our hearts right now. Another world-class humanitarian was Mahatma Gandhi, same era of Paramahansa Yogananda. We have his ashes enshrined at the lake. Early in his mission for the people of India, Mahatma Gandhi gave lectures around India, promoting his ideals. He was giving lectures in Tamil Nadu in southern India, and he found himself in Madurai. He was giving a lecture to a large crowd of people, and as was his habit, he was dressed impeccably. He was outfitted in his, classy clothes. He was a public representative, and he was presenting his philosophies and ideas, and he began to notice that the people in the audience, many of them sitting on the ground, were dressed very simply. They were just very common people dressed in white cotton, loincloth, dhoti, shawls, saris. And this made a strong impression on him. He was dressed so well, and the people in his audience that he was talking to were dressed very, very simply. And so he pondered that in the evening after his lecture, and he made an important decision that carried through for the rest of his life. And in the morning, before he went out to have his second lecture in a series, he dressed himself in a white dhoti, simple cotton dhoti, and then a white cotton shawl. His host came to his room and said, "Gandhiji, your lecture is in 1 hour only. Please get dressed." And Gandhi famously replied, "I am dressed. From now on, this is what I will always wear, the plain and simple dress of 400 million of my Indian brothers and sisters." Isn't that beautiful? And that's why we always see him. He is always dressed this way, in his white dhoti and his simple white wrap, simple cotton. And it was a symbol for him of his love for humankind. And this is what he said in his teachings in Satyagraha. He said, "My life is one indivisible whole, and all my activities run into one another, and they all have their rise in my insatiable love for humankind." So there is a world-class humanitarian. He has a universal charity in his heart, and he finds ways to establish equality among all people for the purpose of lifting everyone up together. It is well known, but not widely shared, that Martin Luther King was a student of Mahatma Gandhi. And in 1959, King and his wife took a trip to India to there in person study and gather the spirit of ahimsa and satyagraha. He was very much moved by what he learned, and he brought those teachings back, and in his own way, he put them to practice in the civil rights movement for which he's famous. He said, "The intellectual and moral satisfaction that I failed to gain from studying so many social theorists, I found in the nonviolent resistant philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi." Next time you're walking around the lake, right there in the court of religions where we have the monuments to the different faiths, there's a beautiful rose garden. And you may not know it, but this is a world peace rose garden. It's one of a number of World Peace Rose Gardens around the world. It has a sister, our garden has a sister World Peace Garden in the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historic Park in Atlanta, Georgia. You can web search World Peace Rose Gardens, and the website will pop right up, and it will show you Lake Shrine listed with many other famous locations around the world where roses have been planted in dedication to world peace. Isn't that beautiful? Some years ago, at a United Nations conference, interfaith conference in New York City, I happened to be seated next to a personal secretary of Nelson Mandela. And we enjoyed the weekend program together and participated with faith clergy and representatives from all over the world. I had a chance to get to know her a little bit, and we sat one day and had lunch, and I had all kinds of questions, and she shared with me her experience with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. So as a secretary of Nelson Mandela, she participated in that reconciliation process. She told me how moving it was to be present as victims of racism came forward and shared publicly their terror and their abuse before their perpetrators. And then how the perpetrators were forced to listen and develop enough compassion in their hearts to offer apologies and promise retribution. She said this is something that the underclass of South Africa at the time never even imagined could take place. But she said this was not only healing for the victims, it was healing for all of that society. Nelson Mandela was also a student of Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, aren't the connections interesting? They're very interesting. So when you have one dedicated soul who has a love for humankind, and they share it on the public platform, it has a long and wide influence. And so Mandela studied the philosophies and principles of Mahatma Gandhi, and he gave these social and moral principles new applications in his struggles against apartheid. He said, if you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner. So what do these lives have to teach us? World-class humanitarians. I would say two important lessons that we can take away. One is an attitude of unity. Attitude of unity. A spirit that all souls are equal. A sense of universal charity, we might call it. A love for all humankind. And it crosses all religious and cultural boundaries. The boundaries that we experience that divide us are superficial. They are not organic. They are not fundamental. We can rise above those, and in our attitude of unity, we can feel in our hearts this sense of oneness with all. And this can reflect in our actions. It can reflect in our actions, and we will find ourselves giving respect, giving honor equally to all. And this is an uplifting force because it's very uncommon in today's world. You see a stranger, you don't automatically give them respect. But if we do this as an attitude of our heart, and it becomes an action that is a part of who we are in daily life, then we are taking a big step toward being a world-class humanitarian ourselves. So one lesson is an attitude of unity. And a second one I would say, and this is very important, common to all humanitarians, men and women of all ages, peacemaking in the face of conflict. We tend to think maybe we can be a peacemaker separated from conflict. It's a nice thought, but it actually is an illusion. The real peacemaking takes place in the face of conflict. And so we want to take our place in here, and every time we find ourselves in a situation that may be tense, there might be differences, there might be people who are having separate attitudes, criticizing each other. We need to become a force of peacemaking in that situation. I know that all of you do this. I hear from many of you that, people in conflict come to you for counsel and advice, and you wonder, why are they coming to me? It's because you, as a spiritual woman, as a spiritual man, are radiating peace. And they are feeling non-judgmental from you. They are feeling acceptance from you. And so they feel safe. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing for people to feel safe with you. And that empowers you to become an instrument of peace. And so peacemaking, real peacemaking, being a channel of God, means being a peacemaker in the face of conflict. Accept this, and then ask God to guide you. And God will allow you to flow as a channel of peace in small situations at first, and then gradually growing as your skill develops. And you will see that along with other things that you want to accomplish in your life, this is becoming part of your mission. It's integrated into your life. Here is some confirmation from Scripture. The Bhagavad Gita says very clearly, Krishna's words, fearlessness, forgiveness, peacefulness, freedom from hate, and compassion for all creatures, these qualities are the wealth of a divinely inclined person. Fearlessness, forgiveness, peacefulness, freedom from hate, compassion for all creatures, these qualities are the wealth of a divinely inclined person. And then Jesus' famous beatitude from the Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And we might even say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the channels of God. And our Guru comments on this beatitude of Jesus. He says, they are the real peacemakers who generate peace from their devotional practice of daily meditation. Peace is the first manifestation of God's response in meditation. Having felt the nature of God as inner peace, devotees want the peace God to be always manifest in their home, in the neighborhood, in the nation, among all nationalities and races. This is a very elevated message. It's the kind of message we come here for, because it is both transcendent and practical. The message or the theme this year for the United Nations is actions for peace. And Paramahansa Yogananda is very clear that the elevated action that spiritual men and women can take is on the vibrational level. Vibration affects all of life. And if we can cultivate a vibration of peace in our hearts, and we can feel that building as an energy, we can radiate it out. And it will have an effect. So if we ask the question, what can we do now as actions for peace? Our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda says, peace is a dynamic energy. We can generate it in meditation, and then we can share it with the world. And he says, very simply, before there can be peace in our world, there needs to be peace in every heart.
This has been a production of Self-Realization Fellowship, a non-profit organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1920. For more information about Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda, please visit yogananda.org.